Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
I will fight for you. I always do until my heart is black and blue. And I will stay with you. We'll make it to the other side like lovers do.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond, and today on Thrive Loud, we have a gentleman who helps leaders live and lead from their highest self. As a former Division I athlete, he has overcome multiple suicide attempts to become a best-selling author, short film producer, two-time TEDx speaker, and co-founder of Seeding Greatness, a movement of leaders restoring the planet and helping humanity to head through their stories in transformational services. Thrive Loud listeners, I got to hang out with this guy in New York City not too long ago. He's inspiring, he's fun, he's cool, he's on point, and I'm so glad he's here today. Thrive Loud listeners, Darryll Stinson. Darryll, welcome to Thrive Loud.
What up?
So Darryll is a former athlete. Well, he's still an athlete, but he's a former Division I athlete. He is quite a tall gentleman, and he's got some really good on-point things, but he's got a much better story. And I led to that in the opening. Darryll, I would love to do a little rewind here. We don't have to go all the way back to the womb, but I would love to understand how your story came about, how you got to where we are today, and share with the listeners, I guess, a little bit of your personal story, because I think it'll resonate with so many.
Yeah, totally, man. Just grew up in a small town community with goals and dreams to make it out of low income poverty by being a professional athlete and a rapper. And so I decided I was going to do both. Got a full ride scholarship to play football at Central Michigan University. Also was supposed to play basketball there. That didn't end up working out too well. And man, was supposed to be one of the next greatest athletes to come out of Michigan. And man, I was top 100 athlete in 2008. I was number 3 in our state, right behind Draymond Green, and I was number 9 in the Midwest. Behind, I'm trying to think of some names that you guys might know. I'm getting older now. Now people don't really know the names as much. But the point is, man, very high level athlete, lots of promise, and man, I never forget when a guy, one of our coaches named Steve Stripling, looked at me and Antonio Brown, if you know that name. Yeah. And he said, it's not a matter of if you're going to go to the league, it's only a matter of when. Now, I was a true freshman. Antonio Brown was a sophomore. He was saying that we had the opportunity to leave early. Antonio Brown ended up leaving his junior year, and I actually got hurt at the end of my true freshman year. And man, it was supposed to be the end of my career. I had a golden opportunity to still have a full ride scholarship and come around football whenever I want because they valued my leadership. But for me, sports wasn't what I did. It was who I was. And so I signed a liability waiver. I came back after 6 months of the back surgery. I earned a starting position, and I put my body through 2 years of absolute hell, trying to continue to numb my pain, to continue to play the game of football. Suppressed my physical pain, suppressed my emotional pain with opioids. And I still managed to start, still managed to make an impact on the field because me hurt was better than the next guy fully healthy. And man, that basically led me to a point where I had an opioid addiction to the point where stinting my blood to every time I made contact on the field, my nose would bleed. Coaches, figured out it wasn't allergies. They kicked me off the team. And that's why I went through the darkest depression of my life. I ended up in a psychiatric unit in Detroit, Michigan. And there I found my faith. And I started to learn that I could build my life from the inside out, not just the outside in. And I left there kind of like Clark Kent becomes Superman.
First of all, thank you for sharing your story, Darryll. And look, I hate to say this. I think there's, unfortunately, as you know there's so many cases of this happening, where the drugs helping out athletes to hide the pain and deal all with this. And while there's been a little bit of a better shutdown on opioids these days because of recognizing the severity of them.
Hmm.
These things still happen. Uh, I would love to hit a point on those who were watching the video who could see behind Darryll. Who am I after sports? Can you share when you were in the facility, when you were getting better, when you found your faith, how you figured out that question, since it was such an important part of who you were?
Well, the first thing that happened in that psychiatric care facility is I had hope. I didn't have it at that point. I was agnostic. I didn't think that I had any purpose outside of sports. My identity was wrapped in it, and it was something about finding faith there that gave me a glimmer of hope that like maybe there's something for me to do outside of this career of sports. And we see that, man. It happened to a lot of people in the pandemic. It shook people up. Caused them to pivot their business model, pivot their career, and you lose your identity when you can't do things in the same way that you used to do them, or you can't do the same thing that you used to do at all. That's where I was, but I had this glimmer of hope that, man, I'm here for a reason. And I took that, and man, it didn't happen overnight. It actually took me a total of 5 years to really find what my purpose was. I invested in every, purpose development assessment I could find, Myers-Briggs and, John Maxwell 360 degrees and Enneagram. I did all those assessments. I went to leadership experiences. I studied every major world religion, just trying to find what they had to say on purpose. I binge watched everything I could watch on YouTube. And man, I took some action to really see what fit me, what brought me alive, what brought me passion. And over time, the feedback was resounding around, oh, you're a spiritual leader. Oh, you're a great communicator. Man, maybe you should do something within that realm. And I started to see like, oh, okay, now I get it, man. I exist to help leaders, to awaken leaders to their divine message so they can grow their movements with their message. And that's kind of the wheelhouse I've been in for a while.
Darryll, on the field, did you have that type of leadership, or did it take, unfortunately, these instances that had to happen to you for you to go through it, for that to unearth and be unleashed within you?
Man, I had it in me, but it was suppressed and repressed.
Yeah.
It's like that seed of greatness was buried on the inside, and I only cultivated the athletic ability. I didn't really allow the leader to lead. Now, I led by example, but I was not a vocal leader. I was actually deeply insecure about my ability to speak. And so I knew it was always in there, but I just didn't have the confidence and security or the know how to bring it out.
Speaking of bringing it out, you work with top leaders, you deliver some key messages and help them live from their highest self. What is the biggest pain point or challenge that leaders you work with or you see today are facing?
Oh, man. I think this paradigm around vulnerability, where it fits and how it goes into our growth, like I get the question all the time, like how much vulnerability in what places? And I think so many people struggle with that. I think we all know, if I took a survey of everybody listening to the podcast, hey, how many of you believe that vulnerability is a strength? Everybody, but oh, cool, yeah, vulnerability is a strength. And I go, well, how many of you are vulnerable in your everyday leadership and everyday expression, and everyday like? And it's like, well, not so much. And it's like, if it's so much of a strength, why aren't we acting like it? Well, it's because there's resistance to actually being vulnerable. So I think if we could figure out how to actually lead more vulnerably, how to actually share more vulnerably in the right ways, in the right place. I'm not talking about trauma dumping. I'm not talking about being emotional so that you put on a show. I'm talking about real, authentic, raw leadership. That for me is where people are stuck, because wherever you are limited with your lips, you'll be limited in your life.
Mm. By the way, he's got lots of really good expressions. I still wrote this one down when I heard him speak. I'm reading it from my phone, listeners who aren't seeing this. Resonance increases reach, which increases revenue, and reconnect to source. Two big things that I wrote down from the Darryll Stinson when I last heard him speak. A lot of these messages and things are things that you've learned, you've helped people connect with, you've connected with yourself. You have a wonderful family, and I mentioned this in the open. Four kids, you got 2 TED Talks, happy wife. A lot of this happened because of the path that you went down.
Yeah.
If sliding doors moment here and things went differently, and you were able to make it to the league or NFL or whatnot, do you think your life would be as rich and as fulfilling?
I think so, man. I think all paths lead to the same destination, just not all take the same amount of time or are the same amount of difficult.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that all of them lead to the same path, man. So for me, I think I mean, I'll be a lot wealthier.
True.
But man, ultimately, I would have found where I needed to be. I think that we all come here with a purpose, and there's multiple ways to navigate that path. We can take jagged lines. We can go slow. We can be in sabotage, or we can be in full surrender and experience it at its fullest. So, for me, I think it almost accelerated my process in a lot of ways because I had to learn how to surrender before it was all my ethic, my sweat equity, and it wasn't a co-creation with the divine. So I had to learn how to live life in a new paradigm.
Gotcha. I love asking guests on the program this question. I'd love to hear where this goes. Look, you have managed to spin a bad situation into a way of life and help to inspire others, which is why you were here on Thrive Loud, because you're thriving on most days. Yet we all
Yep.
have those days, as you know, that we are not kicking on all cylinders and we're not quite thriving.
Yeah.
Darryll, when you have trouble thriving, what practice do you preach, or maybe what individual do you seek out to help get yourself back on the thriving track?
Oh man, I've got lots of that. Especially because clinically, I've got mental illness and depression, anxiety. So I've got lots of bad days, lots of bad moments. They don't last as long as they used to. For me, there's several things. Number one, I consistently am in counseling and therapy so that I have a space to express and process. And I'm always in a growing process in that. It's not always the same therapist. It's not always the same modality, but to have that space for myself is extremely important. I spend consistent time with God every single day, so there's always that place to worship, to express, to cry, to vent, to receive guidance and instruction. Oh man, my network is massive, right? A lot of people have good networks, but they're not always vulnerable within those networks.
Mm.
For me, I've cultivated a good network where I can be real and honest with people, and they know that it's coming from an empowered place. So they allow me to vent, they allow me to share because they know that I'm looking to resolve. They know that I'm looking for the up level, the call up within my own process. And then I hire coaches in all levels, man. I've got multiple coaches in areas of expertise: business coach, health coach, operations coach currently. And I also have a speaking coach, right? And it's like, wow, you speak for 10 years, you can probably teach them something. I am teaching them something, but it's hard to read the label when you're inside the bottle. And so those relationships are very important to, being able to handle those moments where we have bad days.
Let's do the admin part of the show, and then we're going to have a fun little version of Fun Street, which we call it on
Let's
Thrive Loud.
go.
Share with the listeners all the places people can find you, websites, URLs, social handles. We'll put it in the show notes. Gets more engagement when they hear it from you.
Oh, totally, man. Just connect with me. Any social platform at Stinson Speaks, Stinson Speaks. LinkedIn, I'm Darryll, Darryll Stinson. Just search me, man. I'm really easy to find.
I also noticed, by the way, this just clicked in my head that you have a dog named Magic. Is that because you're from Michigan, and is that related to Magic Johnson?
It actually isn't, which is hilarious because before I shared this stage with Magic Johnson, I got the dog, and my daughter actually came up with the name Magic. I wanted to name him Thanos, but
You can't name him
but
Thanos. The guy wanted to destroy half the universe. Come on.
so yes, and I want a dog that can destroy, but I also want a dog that he still had a tender heart on the inside. If you really follow the storyline,
Yeah.
he was a tender baby on the inside that just felt like he had a vendetta and an ultimate plan to save the world. And so I wanted to name him Thanos, but for the same reason that you're saying, my four daughters, or excuse me, my three daughters and my wife, and then we didn't have a son at the time, but they were like, no, we don't want Thanos, he's mean. And so they came up with Magic, and then I was like, well, can he at least have lion? Like, can he be like some type of lion? And so his middle name's Leo, so it's Magic Leo
Oh,
Stinson.
I like it. I like.
Yeah,
What kind of dog is Magic?
he's a sheepadoodle.
Oh, sheepadoodle. They're cute. They're very fuzzy.
Yeah,
Very fun.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right, we're gonna do. Can you share with the listeners if you have maybe a movie or one that you love to rewatch over and over again? Is it one of the Marvel movies? Is that one of your faves?
No, no, man. It's actually a movie called The Great Debaters. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
phenomenal. Lawrence Fishburne,
yeah.
if I'm correct on that, right? Isn't that?
Yeah, and Denzel
Yep.
Washington.
Yep.
Yeah, totally, man. And fun fact here, I that's one of my I have two favorite movies. So it's The Great Debaters, and then the other one's The Freedom Riders.
Oh, okay.
And when I did my TED talk, I filmed it in the same theater that one of the scenes from The Great Debaters was filmed in.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so that was
nice.
cool. For me, that was like a 360 moment.
We have here at Thrive Loud, we call it the Speakeasy Pub Crawl, where we stop at all the fun speakeasies, and all these stops are favorite places of yours, things that matter the most to you. So we're gonna go down that little pub crawl, take a shot of gumption, and you're gonna handle it. You ready? You ready to take it down?
I'm ready to rock.
All right. Of late, a song that you love to listen to, or maybe one that pumps you up.
I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up, no, not yet.
I think that's like one of the first time we actually have them sing the name of the songs. I love it.
It was in my head.
I love it. That's what we want here. A favorite food that's not a dessert.
Tofu and rice.
That sounds like the health. That sounds like the healthiest thing. A favorite dessert.
Banana pudding.
Oh, I like that. An activity you wish you did more of.
Travel without having to do anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
An activity you wish you did less of.
I wish I did less scrolling on social media.
Yeah, I hear you there. An activity that's relatively new to you, Darryll, that you've recently tried, that you like so much you want to tell everybody else to try.
It might sound a little out of the box, but it's firewalking.
Oh, you've done it multiple times?
Totally. I'm actually a certified firewalk instructor as well, so I host them too.
I didn't know. I've done it. I've done it once, and yeah, definitely, it's inspirational. The same bit. I don't know if I would do it that much again, but it definitely got you out of your mind, so to speak, or concentrating. To be above it all.
And it matters who you. It matters who you do it with. It's totally different experience if you have a different facilitator.
There you go. I might have. To, I might have to find Darryll and do some firewalking. Lou's got to find Darryll and do firewalking. I like it.
There you go.
If I could snap my fingers and Darryll Stinson could be anywhere in the world, where is he?
Sitting across from Oprah, so that we can co-do a show together.
Oh, I love that. Very specific request. Oprah was in my book a lot, so we had a lot of good stuff. I've got a good last question for you that's a little bit out of here. You are a great speaker, motivational and whatnot. Is there someone in the speaking community that you look up to almost as your speaking mentor, somebody that has inspired you that you love to listen to?
There's two. Well, I listen to a ton of them, but the two main ones are Bishop T.D. Jakes and Seth Godin.
And we both got to hang out with Seth Godin within that, who said, by the way, that I'm now part of the same bald club that he's in, which obviously he's like, welcome to the club, big guy.
I need to stop hanging around y'all, man. I don't want to catch it. I'm already losing it by the day.
I think you're doing okay. Darryll Stinson, thank you so much for coming on Thrive Loud. Everybody check out all the links, all the stuff he's got going on. Truly a pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you for doing what you're doing, and I am glad you are here and inspiring others to be here as well.
Thank you.
To all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep moving onward and upward, and remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.